On a political note about the horse race, here comes John Kasich. Okay, in the latest public policy polling, he's one of the very few guys moving up. Trump has moved up since the last debate, solidified his lead, and he's not going anywhere, okay? Yeah. And it doesn't matter what he says, all it does is get bigger. Yeah. Now, Rand Paul has dropped like a rock. He's now at this point tied with Jim Gilmore.
Wow.
Oh my God, he's down to 1%. Yeah. Okay,
and that show got canceled.
Now, people think that Rand Paul and Chris Christie attacked each other. That's why they went down. No.
Nobody even knows that they did that.
Nobody knows that. Nobody paid attention to that part of the debate. No, Rand Paul attacked Donald Trump. Yeah. And then got obliterated. Okay, so I think that's the dynamic there. Now, Kasich, on the other hand, has done something interesting. He's planted his flag in the moderate camp. If anything Republican could remotely be called moderate, right? And has planted it strongly. Like in the debates, he didn't shirk from it. He didn't apologize for his positions. He's like, yes, I accepted, Medicare subsidies from Obamacare. That's because I have sick people in my state, and I'm going to take care of them, right? See, that was strength. He moved up. Now, I know it seems like a little thing, but it's not. He moved up from 3 to 6%, okay? So now he's at 6%. Jeb Bush is only at 9%. Yeah. Trump is more than tripling Jeb Bush, and now Kasich's almost caught up to Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush has no appeal at all to the base.
He's losing staff.
He's been losing consistently. The other guy who's in a free fall, it's the biggest loser by far so far in the last month. Scott Walker goes from 17% to 5%. Devastating. He goes from 2nd to 8th. Yeah. Now Ben Carson is beating him with a stick. I mean, Ben Carson is at number 2. They shouldn't even be compared because Ben Carson is infinitely better shape than Scott Walker is.
Yeah, Ben Carson in this latest poll is doing so well. It was such a shock that it woke him up.
So I think that there's something interesting brewing here. I think if Kasich can hold on and keep being strong in his positions, whatever the positions might be, and in his case they happen to be more moderate, that he can coalesce whatever remains of the so-called moderate Republicans, and derisively people would say establishment Republicans, right? So once they see, hey, Jeb Bush isn't going anywhere, Chris Christie's a has-been filled with baggage, right? Marco Rubio's a child, right? And Kasich actually has a case to make, right? Like if you break down his Ohio numbers, even progressives go, well, that's the best among the Republicans. Yeah, right? Exactly. That's not so bad, right? And so now there's a case to be made against him, right? But so he's all of a sudden a possibility for non-Trump, contender. So a Trump alternative. And then if you're in a race where you're the Trump alternative, that's not such a bad place to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if what seemed like it would inevitably have to happen, but is looking more and more unlikely now, that Trump says something that actually registers in what remains of the minds of his supporters, and he flames out, then you could, oddly enough, have a Kasich-Carson showdown between sort of the more conservative and more moderate wings, which it doesn't make any sense.
Stranger things have happened, but in the immortal words of James Brown, none stranger than this. So could Carson be in at the end? I'd be shocked, but I guess so. I still think Rand Paul is going to make a comeback at some point, but he hadn't yet. Yeah. Right? Could it be Gilmore? No, it cannot. Okay. But could it be Trump versus Kasich at the end? It could be.
Come on, Jindal. Oh my God, that's never been said before. I was the first.